I've been lucky to work with some incredible people, super smart and experienced in their fields. The only bummer is that there just aren't as many people that are that experienced in Suriname. Being a developing country, innovation and the people who drive innovation, those are rare in Suriname. On top of that, educational opportunities, especially in the tech world, are quite limited in Suriname. That's why I had to seek options abroad for my master's degree. It's kind of crazy when you think about it. I mean, how can a country progress if education isn't on point?
Welcome to Latinx in Power. Today we are talking with Rwynn Christian. Rwynn is an experienced software engineer at ReflexSystems and an IT consultant with a master's degree in computer science from the University of Texas in Austin, specializing in software system engineering and business analysis. Welcome to the Latinx in Power.
Hi, Tasha, and everyone listening. Thanks so much for having me on the show. I'm really excited to be here and share my story.
Incredible. In this episode, Rwynn will share about his professional engineering journey, providing career advice and sharing practical tips for balancing roles as a consultant, instructor, and software engineer. Very excited about this conversation. And I wanted to ask we were talking before we started recorded about the sense how Latin America and the Caribbean are so close and how we share a lot of similarities. And what does it mean to be a Caribbean for you? And how do you feel connected with the Caribbean community and perhaps the Latin America community as well?
Yeah, so being Caribbean in Suriname is like being a part of this big, colorful tapestry of cultures and traditions. We've got a little bit of everything here from indigenous tribes that have called this land home for many centuries to the descendants of the African slaves who are my ancestors. We have Indian immigrants, Japanese immigrants, Chinese immigrants, and so many more. It's like a melting pot of cultures, and it's all coming together as we learn from each other, to create something truly unique. Something beautiful about this is, for example, the food. It reflects our diverse heritage. We have music too that's very great. We have infectious rhythms of Kaseko here to the soulful melodies of Kawina. It's what unites us and uplifts our spirits. We also have faced our challenges here in Suriname, similar to other countries in the Caribbean. From political turmoil to economic struggles, but we always find a way back. And there's resilience and strength in the people here, and it's the same as what you can see in people of other Caribbean countries, and that's truly inspiring to see. So yeah, being a Caribbean in Suriname is about embracing our diversity, celebrating our culture, and facing whatever comes our way, with a smile on our face and the rhythm in our heart. So yeah, there's nowhere else I'd rather be than in the Caribbean community. Yeah.
That's awesome. As you
Yeah.
were saying, and I was just thinking about like how the Latin America community is just so similar, like very, very diverse as well. Lots of
Yeah.
struggle, good music, good food, and like it's incredible. I love your
Yeah.
description.
Yeah. No, we have a great diverse community here. We have lots of people, lots of different cultures, and it's amazing to learn from each other. That's something that always fascinates me.
Incredible. And can you
Yeah.
tell us about your professional journey? How was your process like getting to engineering? Can you tell us?
So my professional journey into the tech world kicked off at RR Solutions and Advisory. That was back in 2018. I worked on creating desktop applications using Windows Forms, WPF. It was a really invaluable experience. I was primarily tasked with designing and creating applications. I was the lead engineer there, so it was my responsibility to design the architecture and also um, do everything that is needed for the application to run as smoothly as possible. Then I decided to spice things up. I went to Trust Bank, Amana, where I was a data analyst. I crunched numbers, delved into databases, and it was a whole new ball game, but I loved every minute of it. And then there was Blue Dots Technology, where I worked as a Java software engineer, also different than what I was used to. Um, it was also a very great experience. I learned a lot during that job. And after that, I was so eager to share my knowledge with the world. I went into creating courses on Udemy, where I created courses on database fundamentals, advanced transact SQL topics such as window functions, you name it. And witnessing students learn from my courses was immensely rewarding, and it also inspired me to do more. Then I found myself wearing multiple hats at Datasur. That's the only data center in Suriname. We're also operating in the Caribbean, so people in other countries in the Caribbean might have heard of Datasur. Um, I had a lot of tasks there. I was tasked with resolving operational issues from administering SQL Server databases and even providing web development support for our clients. I was all over the place, juggling cPanel, Microsoft 365, and diving into Power BI for some serious data analysis. And somewhere in between, I also created a YouTube channel, named it Keep Learning IT, to share my knowledge, the things I've picked up along the way about programming and data analysis. So it was a way for me to connect to the outside world. Fast forward today, I'm rocking the remote life at ReflexSystems. That's a Dutch company. I work as a software engineer there, fully immersed in diverse technologies. We work with the .NET framework, we work with Angular, even Android, you know, you name it. Writing code, debugging, collaborating, it's all in a day's work. Additionally, as you stated, I'm currently also working as an IT consultant at DataShare, focusing on improving internal business processes. This involves building or implementing software to automate some of their internal processes, to improve efficiency. And education-wise, I did my ICT undergrad at the University of Applied Sciences in Suriname. And now I'm pursuing a master's degree in computer science at the University of Texas at Austin. It's a distance education, so it gives me the flexibility to just take my classes anywhere remotely whenever I want. So that's the added benefit. I've also earned a bunch of certifications from leading tech companies such as Microsoft, Google, Oracle. Um, yeah, these are badges of honor, They say that I've got the skills and I'm ready to take on whatever comes my way. And that's a pretty powerful thing to have in your corner as a software engineer. So yeah,
Incredible.
that's my journey.
Incredible. I love that.
Yeah,
And I love when you said that you were like excited about what you were learning that you decided to share. So we are going
yeah,
to link to the description of this episode your courses so people can take a look. But I love this feeling when you're so excited about what you're doing, so passionate and like learning that you want to share and help other people. That's incredible. Another thing that I think is a great tip for folks who are listening to us, uh, taking advantage of these remote programs where you can like live like whatever you want to live, but also get an education from some specific places. That's a great tip.
yeah.
And I wanted to ask you, what motivated you to pursue a master's degree in computer science?
So it's a rather interesting story. My work experience has been really eye-opening. I've been lucky to work with some incredible people, super smart and experienced in their fields. The only bummer is that there just aren't as many people that are that experienced in Suriname. Being a developing country, innovation and the people who drive innovation, those are rare in Suriname. On top of that, educational opportunities, especially in the tech world, are quite limited in Suriname. That's why I had to seek options abroad for my master's degree. It's kind of crazy when you think about it. I mean, how can a country progress if education isn't on point? So my mission is pretty straightforward. I want to acquire as much knowledge as I can outside of Suriname and bring that knowledge back home to help make things better. I want to be part of the solution in driving Suriname from the developing stage to the developed zone. That's the primary reason I'm pursuing a master's degree. And on a personal level, it also opens up doors for me, allowing me to engage in more exciting and impactful projects. that's a lot of learning opportunities. And I mean, if you're lucky enough to get the opportunity, why not seize it, right? So yeah, that's those are the things that drive me.
Awesome. And could you
Yeah.
highlight some of the key projects or experience that have shaped your skills as a software engineer?
So there are quite a few. During my time at our solutions and advisory, I had the opportunity to work with the my own bookkeeping financial application, which streamlined various financial processes within small to medium-sized companies. I was fortunate to lead the design of the entire application architecture independently, which involved extensive research. I held complete responsibility for guiding the application through the software development lifecycle. The stages of gathering requirements, translating them into software solutions, and even crafting the deployment and update procedures for the application, in terms of maintenance. And this experience has had been a profound impact on shaping my skill and knowledge in the field. um because working at a software company usually involves tasks like improving existing software, adding features, and ensuring smooth operation, right? So being the mastermind behind the entire design of the architecture and development of such a large application was for me a huge deal. It gave me real hands experience and deep understanding of how the entire software creation process goes from scratch to a finished and mature product. Another experience is working at ReflexSystems in the Netherlands. It also helps shape my skills as a software engineer. Things are done quite differently in Suriname compared to the Netherlands. So getting to see their approach is really enlightening. Plus, they're always up to date with the latest technology. For example, whenever a new version of the .NET framework is released, they're already thinking about implementing it. It's all about staying ahead in the constantly evolving tech world, and I think that really boosts my abilities as a software engineer to stay updated. And those are some of the experiences that helped me really well as a software engineer.
Incredible, incredible. Yeah, those are great advice in terms of like making sure that you know what is happening in terms of
Yeah,
technology and like new
yeah,
updates and everything, but at the same time, like staying open to new opportunities, new technologies, or also working with different cultures. I think this is
yeah,
the key to like anyone who want to work with tech because uh, people might work different ways or like doing things different ways, and I think this is an awesome opportunity to learn something new, and also
yeah,
like I don't know, I like to think that I'm like a bridge. I don't feel that I belong to Brazil anymore, and I don't feel that I belong to the United States, so I feel like a bridge between those two countries perhaps, where I can like grab the stuff that I feel like, oh, this is cool, I want to do things this way now, or no, I think
yeah,
the way I used to do things in Brazil is better. Just like combining all those things. I
yeah,
love that. And I think it makes us better as
yeah. I
human
agree.
beings as well.
Yeah, I agree. I completely agree with you. You learn, what other people are doing. You take the best practices from them, and you create your own, way of doing things that, includes different best practices from different cultures. And I think that makes you that proves what you do, and that's
Mhm.
important.
Yeah, absolutely. And I feel for folks who don't have a technical background but want to pursue a career in software engineering, it might be very hard. I feel like just to think about it because it's just like this new territory, which is like very technical, and perhaps you don't even understand what people are talking about. So I wanted to ask you, what advice would you give to folks who want to pursue a career in software engineering, but perhaps don't have like this any of this like technical expertise? What advice would you give them?
So, first off, this field is always changing. It's always growing. There's always new technology that's being developed, and it's like a never-ending adventure. So be prepared to keep learning even after you finished your formal education. That's usually where the real fun begins. Don't just focus on the technical stuff. Soft skills are super important too. You got to be able to communicate, work in a team, and solve problems on the fly. It's not all about coding, although it's a big part, but you got to pay attention to the soft skills too. Speaking of coding, one thing that's been really helpful for me is learning to read and understand other people's code. Trust me, you can learn a ton just by checking out how other folks tackle different problems. Currently, where I work, we have this tradition of reviewing each other's code. It's a great opportunity to learn and to be able to approach different certain situations from different perspectives. And yeah, I found myself when I started out, it was a hard journey when I started programming. I was also pretty young, you know. Most of the resources I had at the time were in English, and Dutch is my primary language. And at the time, 10 years, 11 years, I didn't get English in school. That was later in school. So it was hard for me to get started with programming, but um, it's a rewarding pet. You know, don't forget to take care of yourself. Seriously, this field can be pretty intense sometimes, so make sure you take time for yourself to relax and hang out with family and friends. And as I said, it was hard for me to get in, but it was rewarding. And at times you might feel like you're failing. It's gonna happen. It's part of the process. But every mistake is a chance to learn and grow. So keep pushing forward. Keep experimenting and keep having fun with it. That's the important thing. You gotta have fun with it. So that's my advice for people who are interested in pursuing this field.
Amazing. Amazing. I love that you started like talking about soft skills. And I feel like it's easy to forget about them when you think about
Yeah,
tech in general. And when you think about software engineering, you just like think about like the coding part that for some folks it
yeah,
might not come naturally, but soft skills are so, so, so important. Thank you for mentioning that. That's a great
yeah.
reminder.
Yeah. Yeah, no, they are very important. I've always learned that hard skills are the technical skills. Usually what gets you into a company are the soft skills, and after that it's gonna be the technical stuff that actually keeps you in the company.
Mhm.
But the soft skills are very important. You gotta be able to communicate, work with people, those are very important things.
Yeah, yeah. And another great tip that you share, perhaps you work in a tech company already, or you have like a software engineer friend, uh,
Yeah,
checking the code, reviewing the code, and having conversations about it. It's a great, great
yeah.
way to learn and help you to feel more comfortable with it as well. And
Like,
I feel like
like,
with friends and mentors, it's a lot
yeah.
easier. So yeah.
Yeah, exactly. One thing I also used to do was just going browsing through GitHub, reading repositories, see how people did certain things, accomplish these things, doing research on these topics, and that helps. And for me, especially a valuable skill every software engineer should have is being able to understand existing code bases, being able to just read and understand what's happening. That's for me a very important skill.
Yeah, incredible. And I love how you also have like a lot of different roles. You play a lot of different roles. And I think this is the key. This is so important. And it might not come naturally for some
Yeah,
folks. I think for me, it didn't. It was something that I needed to force myself to do like different things. And it's
yeah,
interesting how you kind of like one area kind of feeds the other, although they might not seem like they are related. So I wanted to ask you, how do you balance your role as a consultant, instructor, and software engineer? And what tips do you have for maintaining a diverse set of skills?
yeah. To be honest, wearing multiple hats is like riding a roller coaster. It's not always easy. One minute I'm consulting for a client, the next I'm teaching a class, and then I'm knee deep in code as a software engineer. It's enough to make your head spin. But over the years, I figured out a little trick to keep it all manageable, and that is you have to stay organized. Seriously, just plan your days ahead, dedicate time for each role, and most importantly, don't forget to carve out some personal time. That's when you got to recharge to keep your energy levels up so that you can continue to do what needs to be done. Another thing I've learned is not to get overwhelmed by the never-ending to-do list. I used to stress out about it all the time, but now I've shifted my mindset. Instead of focusing on what's left to do, I celebrate what I've already accomplished each day. And it's a game changer, it keeps you motivated. You've also got to learn how to prioritize. You can't do everything at once. So figure out what's most urgent and tackle that first, whether it's client pressing deadline or prepping for a new course launch, you've got to give that the top priority first, and then you can tackle the rest. Remember, it's not a sprint, it's a marathon. Some days you'll feel like you have too much to do, and that's okay. You just gotta stay focused on keeping organized, plan ahead, and most importantly, take care of yourself. It's easy to overlook self-care, but it's incredibly important. Ignoring it can lead to mental exhaustion, fatigue, all those unpleasant feelings. So make sure you're looking after yourself. Take breaks, get enough rest, and do the things that, recharge your batteries. Your well-being is very important. It's quite often overlooked.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I feel especially now, it's just so easy to overlook because tech is changing so much,
Yeah.
and
So you
like
have
the
to,
amount of like layoffs and everything that is
yeah,
happening. It's just like really
yeah,
easy to forget about yourself and all the things you need to do on top of
yeah.
that, and like making sure your LinkedIn is updated, you're like sharing interesting things, commenting interesting things. It's just like it's a lot.
Yeah, yeah. No, I had to learn the hard way, to take care of yourself. A few years ago, I also had two jobs at a time, and I was also going to school, and
Yeah.
I didn't take care of myself well, and at some point I got really sick, and that's when I had to take a few steps back and learn to do things properly. And after that, I've been good ever since. So you got to take care of yourself.
Yeah.
Some
Yeah.
people forget that they're just human. I don't like to say it, but we have limits, and you gotta take care of that.
Yeah. And stay organized. It's so important. And
Yeah.
I don't know. I might be biased because I'm a program manager, so I'm super organized. And sometimes people say to me, like, "How do you do that?" I can't. I was like, "Dude, it's just like, it's, I don't know. Maybe it's also the way kind of like my brain works, but I feel
Yeah.
like it's something that can make anyone lives easier. Just like making
True.
sure
True.
things are organized and also prioritize. Because if you don't prioritize, it's just like it's burned out. The burnout
Yeah.
is going to happen if you
Yeah.
don't do that, right? And also like how you communicate the priorities and the whys with the stakeholders. I think this is another thing because sometimes uh, we might not know fully or we don't communicate the why. So for your stakeholders, it's just like they don't understand. And it's important that they understand the
Understand.
whys behind what you're doing, why we are prioritizing some things over the others. And I feel like everyone should be able to do that. It doesn't matter your role. If you're like engineer, a designer, like a sales rep, like it doesn't matter. You need to know the whys and your priorities.
Yeah, and then that's another a part of the skills we talked about earlier. Soft skills. It's important to know how to communicate things effectively so that everyone understands what's going on and can also um yeah, how did you just say this? They can yeah, when you communicate things effectively, they can be understanding about it. So
Mm-hmm.
effective communication is very important.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And we are getting to the end of this episode. I wanted to ask you which resource helped you in your journey. Is there anything you want to share with us?
I must say there hasn't been a specific resource that helped me, but rather a combination of resources. There are a lot of resources out there. You gotta pick and choose what works for you. For me, YouTube has been a game changer. There are countless of amazing developers out there, super passionate about coding, and they're just sharing their knowledge for free. Um, I'd start there. But YouTube isn't the only place to learn. You have platforms like Udemy, edX, Coursera. These have been fantastic resources too. They offer these in-depth courses pretty much on anything you can imagine, from coding basics to super advanced stuff. It's a great way to learn, at your own pace and really dive deep into particular topics. On the other hand, you also have Microsoft, which has this learning platform. Um, where they make things super interactive. It's a great way to stay up to date on their latest technologies in a fun and engaging way. Um, yeah, the key is to find what works for you. Maybe you're a hands-on learner who loves video tutorials, or perhaps in-depth courses with quizzes, is something that you resonate with. There's no right or wrong answer. Just explore and see what keeps you engaged. Another thing that's also important that helped me throughout my journey is don't underestimate the power of online communities. There are forums, subreddits, and even Discord servers dedicated to coding. It's a fantastic way to connect with other developers, ask questions, get advice. You might even find some study buddies, to keep you motivated. Um, and it's also important to remember that learning to code is a journey. It's not a destination. There will be times when you feel lost, overwhelmed, but it's all part of the process. Don't give up. Just keep exploring different resources and find what works for you. And most importantly, have fun with it. Yeah,
Awesome. Great
yeah.
advice. I love that. That's incredible. I wanna I wanna leave the last minutes for you to share anything you want to share with us, where people can find you. We're going to link to the description of this episode, everything you're sharing, and I wanted to thank you for your time. That's incredible.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to be here. Yeah, people can find me on LinkedIn. I'm also on Instagram. One last thing I'd like to add is for me, software engineering has been really rewarding. It's amazing to have to be creative about things the way you find logic. I've always admired that. Um, for me, it's been a hell of a journey, and I'm really curious to see what opportunities and big things I'll be doing in the coming years. So yeah, if anyone has questions, if there are advices that you need, or if you want to collaborate on something, you can always find me on LinkedIn. Um, yeah, I'm looking forward.
Also, I'm sure you will accomplish a lot of like even bigger things, and I'm excited to follow that on LinkedIn too. Thank you so
Yeah,
much.
it's been a pleasure to be here. Thank you very much.